We start, we're good. All right, we have a little bit of a revised preamble because the Board of Supervisors has lifted the disaster declaration, but we're still operating under the continuity of government ordinance. So as authorized by Virginia Code Section 15.2-1413 in Albemarle County's continuity of government ordinance, this meeting is being held electronically over the Zoom platform. The public has real-time audio-visual access to this meeting over Zoom and real-time audio access over telephone. Everyone on the phone and attending via Zoom from the public is in listen-only mode. If there are members of the public attending by Zoom who wish to speak during the public comment, please use the raise hand feature to notify the meeting facilitator. For those joining by telephone, please use *9 to indicate you would like to comment. State your full name and the magisterial district in which you reside before getting into the substance of your comment. If you don't know your district, provide a general location for your home or business. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to comment. This meeting is being recorded. A copy will be posted on the county's website. And with that explanation, I will ask the board members to identify themselves and general location. And we'll start with the chair, Bucky Walsh.
Thank you, Richie. I'm Bucky Walsh, and I'm at my home in the Whitehall District in Albemarle.
And Waldo Jaquith.
I'm here at my home in Stony Point in the Ravenna District.
Trevor Henry.
Trevor Henry, dialing in or zooming in from my residence in Albemarle County.
Let's see, William Fritz, Bill Fritz.
Bill's not going to be with us tonight.
Donna Price, Supervisor Price.
I am present and zooming in from my home in beautiful Scottsville Magisterial District in Albemarle County.
All right, and let's see, Supervisor Andrews, Jim Andrews.
Hi, yes, I'm also zooming in from my home in the Samuel Miller District, beautiful Samuel Miller District in Albemarle County.
Righty. Okay, so Chairman Walsh, we have a quorum. We have, let's see, 5 out of 6.
Thank you very much, Richie. And I'd like the record to reflect that I wish I had said I was zooming in. So moving on, the next item is the approval of our agenda. I trust everyone has received a copy. Are there any changes or suggestions for the agenda? Wow.
There it is.
There it is. Well, very nice. Hearing no one raise any, I move to approve the agenda as it stands. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. And that takes us to brief announcements by authority members. I'll run through the roll here. Jim Andrews?
No announcements, thank you.
Okay, Trevor?
No announcements.
Donna?
The only thing is tomorrow we will have a Board of Supervisors meeting. Part of it will be towards the budget. And it would be an important time for our community members to either attend or watch online. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Waldo?
I just want to call up that I may have some trouble following, in which case I will dial in instead. We are in week 3 of largely non-functional DSLs here in Stony Point. My upload speed is fine, so my video coming from me should be okay, but my download speed hasn't cracked a megabit in 3 weeks. So if I can't follow, I'll dial in, and my apologies.
Thanks for the heads up, Waldo. We won't abandon hope if you drop off the screen for a moment or two. And from my point, nothing to share. So that'll take us on to the public comment section, of which Richie was speaking just a minute ago. Richie, do you have your hand in the air? No, you don't. I'm sorry. That was an artifact on my screen. Everybody moved around a minute ago. So if there are any members of the public who are either participating by phone or participating by Zoom, if you would like to say something to us, please speak up at this time, raise your hand, or signify in some other fashion. Looks like we got a number of people on the line.
Yeah.
Give folks a minute or two to make any indication they might want to speak. Not seeing anything. So let's move on then. That takes us to the approval of the February 22nd and March 22nd meeting minutes. Normally I would ask Bill if he's gotten any significant feedback on these minutes, but he's not here to ask. Did anyone have any problems, issues, or concerns about the minutes that were sent?
Nope.
Then I'll take you all at your word and assume that you're not fibbing to me and that you didn't send something to Bill to change. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
Chair Walsh, before you do, I'll just note I was absent in February, so I need to abstain from approving those minutes since I didn't participate.
Then let's divide the vote. Let's look at the February minutes first. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye. Any
Opposed? Say nay. The February 22nd minutes are approved with one abstention. And now for the March 22nd meeting minutes, I'll move to approve those. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Very good. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Say nay. And there are no opposed. Those minutes are approved. Thank you all very much. That'll take us into our old business, item 6 on the agenda. We're looking at first the VADE 2021 update. Mike, do you want to weigh in?
I will. Thank you, Chair. I have guests from CenturyLink who are going to add to the slide conversation. So I'll first start with the general update. There's been extensive delays on multiple project areas, so we're continuing to manage those as they come through. They're based on supply chain issues, which are ongoing. And we have put some to be determined on subsequent project areas. We have continued to hold webinars for the community input on the projects every month. Those are the first Friday at noon every month. So our next webinar is May 6th. This work schedule has been updated since the last time we presented to the community. So we generally work from this particular slide when we talk to the community. We've got the movement here, June 30th for Gilbert Station Road, June 30th for Advanced Mills. There's activity in both of those locations. And then working our way backward, April 15th, we had a water line issue that has since been repaired or taken care of, and that it was never cut. CenturyLink was able to avoid it, so a good sign there. And then there's a lot of work going on in the Tillman Road, Meriwether Heights, Meriwether Hills area of the county. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Stephen Brewer, who's joined us. I think you're able to address the Broadband Authority. Steve, you got a few comments to make, and I'll bring up this particular statement. So there you go. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, members. Can you just confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you for having us here this evening. I've also got Dolores Carroll and Heather Lee here with me as well. But we appreciate the opportunity to meet with you. As Mike indicated, certainly we have experienced some supply chain issues, as I feel like much of our economy has experienced supply chain issues. We are also experiencing labor shortages, unfortunately, in a number of locations. We have, to deal with that matter, we've actually reached out to additional vendors to try to bring them on board to help us get caught up and to keep pace here. These situations are certainly unfortunate, but we are still operating under a pandemic, and experiencing issues, again, both with labor and supply chain. Be happy to take any questions.
Do we have a projection on the overall timeline for this program in terms of delays in completing everything? And are there issues we should be alerting the state to now if we're going to need more time?
So, you know, as Mike had indicated on the previous slide, there are dates, and then we're still hoping to meet the overall deadline of the project. However, you know, we do not have resolution on, as I said earlier, labor shortages and supply chain issues. Certainly, if we are able to bring on additional vendors, and when I say vendors, contractors, to help us with the labor situation, that will go a long way in helping us, you know, finish up the project in a timely manner. I wish I could tell you a bit more right now, but we do not have those contractors under contract, if you will, as of yet. But we're working in that regard and hope to have that happen very quickly.
And do you have like a timeline for how long you might take to get your arms around this issue?
I tell you, give me about another 7 to 10 days, and I will give you an update as to the contractor situation. I know that our operations team has reached out to a number of other contractors. Again, they too are having labor issues, if you will, and trying to get on their schedule is proving complex. But I will be happy to provide an update just as soon as I get one, hopefully within the next 7 to 10 days.
That'd be great. Thank you.
We have one of the things that we have to report to the state, going back to the chair's comment, is eventually we have to report to the state what is called the take rate. And a take rate is calculated by the number of passings, which are the homes or businesses that are passed by fiber. The HCD and the VADI program has always been a accelerated broadband deployment. So we'll put in laterals, meaning we'll go down the main roads. And in some cases, residents and businesses may end up having to pay extra to get the fiber dropped all the way to their house. So there is a process where individual homeowners as well as businesses have to order service through the company that's providing the service. For this particular project, VADI 2021, we're in a situation where Quantum Fiber, which is the company that's doing the ordering process and making sure that the installations happen effectively, are taking those orders and processing them without any additional cost for a drop, unless it's an extreme circumstance where a person wants to zigzag through their farm to get to their farmhouse. If it's a direct line, it's going to be a no cost drop to their specific house. So one of the things that we wanted to show the Broadband Authority as we go forward with VADI 21 is so far the passings here are not quite meeting what we would like. So we're going to be proposing some different methodologies for convincing or working with the community to see if they will go through and order service. So I thought this was an important slide to bring up. Now, once the project is underway and everything is built so that people can order service can be ordered all through whenever. So we're never really, in other words, the projects are never really done. I mean, they're out there and people can order at any time. So we just wanted to provide this as an update.
Mike, to clarify something, maybe I misheard what you said. We're not per se trying to get people to order service, are we?
Well, I would say the idea is the better take rate, the higher our take rates, the more positive the program with the state. It results in a more positive outcome.
But I think our mission should be to make sure people know this is available.
That's right. You're right.
And then your office has some other things it may want to make sure they know are available too, in terms of, assistance programs and things like that. But we're not actually a marketing arm for any one of our partners in doing these projects.
That's right. You're correct, Chair. Thank you.
And I'll add, so if we look at the total numbers across the bottom, that 23% total take rate, it's important to take into account that the oldest project, there's Jones Mill, that one's been launched since January. The other projects, as you trickle forward with Snow Hill actually being one of the more just launched last week after resolving that water line issue. So that total figure, 23% relative to prior Body 2020 projects, or relative to prior project, the Body 2020 project, when it closed out, was at about a 37% take rate. So some of these numbers are far below that. Some of these numbers are getting there. But in terms of just viewing it as from a project success perspective, you'd prefer a higher take rate as much as possible. And it gives us some room to think about what are the barriers for uptake on this particular project.
Yeah, I don't want my questions or comments to be misinterpreted. I'd be delighted if we had 100% of the folks who had this go buy their house hook up. I just don't want us to try and stand in the place of our partners in terms of selling their service. Certainly to advertise an availability, new availability, or let folks know what the Broadband Authority and the county have done. That's great. But here for 1995, that's not us.
Certainly.
May I ask if is there any relationship between the ability of a customer to order service and the delays on the other aspects of this project? Are there delays in the process of getting the service in these completed areas?
So for these figures, these reported figures are just the ordered service. We have had other complications with ordering service, but the delays insinuated should not factor into this, because this is just at the point where you order service. You are counted. They are also providing us data about who is actually activated, and we can share that additionally subsequent. But at present, this is just ordered service, so it should not be impacted by any of the delays that they've had.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jason. Thanks for that, Supervisor Andrews. One thing that we also have is an update from Lumen and CenturyLink is the second paragraph on this page. This is an official review of Mr. Belt put something in the Q&A, and this is exactly the case. The revisions to the process should aid in a portion of the delays. One of the things we learned today from Lumen is that people who were able to order service and prepaid for their first month, that ordering, they have two options. They can cancel the order and receive a rebate, I guess, or a refund of the money, or they can wait until a second order comes in and the credit will move forward to the next month. So in any event, there will be a refund provided or a credit provided for any delayed on installations. And we realize this is a significant issue that continues, and there's some things that are being changed to resolve that. So Steve, you want to mention that, or Heather, either one? Okay, nothing more. We'll keep rolling. So we have had several reports, not as many as a prior project, where there have been construction issues, where things are being built in the wrong place or areas have been disturbed. I have to report that this has been a much better process this time than with our prior 2020 body project. So when these are reported, there's really good response. There's good triage going on. So I think that's been working well in this project. There was a water line avoidance for Snow Hill. Tommy Garland helped make the connections there, and that was a really good thing that moved that project forward. Now, Snow Hill is one of the areas where people were able to place orders and their installations were canceled. Those we're addressing individually. So if you're part of Snow Hill, we have received your request and we're going to address it individually. And we will continue to work together to monitor and triage any new resolutions. Any question about this particular slide?
No, thanks, Mike.
Okay. All right, so I will move and allow Mr. Wood Gary Wood from CVEC and Firefly to give us an update with Body 22, but I'll start, Gary. Appreciate you being online this evening. And thank you to the folks from CenturyLink Lumen who were able to attend tonight. Really appreciate you all participating. So Jason.
Mike, I see that Steve Brewer's hand is up.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Listen, yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Stephen. Thank you.
Yeah, I was trying to make comment when you asked this question just a moment ago.
Okay.
But no, I think you captured the situation very well. I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware all of those customers have been contacted with the course of action. So I didn't want there to be any question there.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen. All right. Next up, the 22 update. Jason Inafuentes and I met with David Blunt and Lori Allshouse. They're working with TJPDC. Lori has been brought on, Lori Allshouse has been brought on to manage this significant project, the Body 22 update. Jason and I then worked on what's called a sole source. So we needed a sole source approval in order to procure TJPDC services. So that has been done thanks to our finance department, our Department of Finance and Budget. And what is going on here is that TJPDC has to obtain contract agreements with the participating counties in Body 22. And we are expecting, this is a stretch goal. It's likely that we're going to be able to discuss that TJPDC contract at the May 25th regular meeting of the Broadband Authority. So look forward to that. We will probably be able to distribute that contract via email ahead of that meeting. So that's where things are. Gary, you want to give us an update on both your—
Hey, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Before just a process question. Does the Broadband Authority have the signatory authority for this, or is it the Board of Supervisors?
It is the Broadband Authority.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions about the internal work before we have Mr. Wood talk about what's going on with his team's work? All right, Gary, the floor is yours. Thanks for joining.
Well, thank you, Mike, for giving me a second to catch up. I really didn't prepare anything, but I always like to talk about what we have going on, and there's a lot going on. And if you'll give me just an extra minute, I'll update you on the Central Virginia fiber build, which is not part of the Body
Right.
project. So on that piece, we are, if I hit this button to join as a panelist, I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Oh,
so,
well, okay.
Hang on with me. If you can hear me, I'm just going to continue talking. And
Okay, let's do that. Unless you had a slide. Yeah,
I don't have a
Okay.
slide. But the Whitehall service area, which for us runs from Crozet all up through toward Mission Home and Earlysville in the western part of the county, we have started work in that area building our fiber. We have 7 overhead crews and 2 or 3 underground crews, and are making good progress, just having started in the last week or two. But we do have work going on in that area. We still intend to finish the fiber placement for the Central Virginia build out, all of the fiber, having it up in there by July. So that's the Whitehall piece in Albemarle, as well as a little piece down at Schuyler and some areas around Red Hill. And we're on track with those things right now. And we're managing, certainly there are a lot of supply chain issues knock on wood, we're managing that piece pretty well at this point and anticipate being able to meet that July timeframe for the fiber being up. After that, we'll still have splicing and then service drops. So connections will go on through the second half of the year in those areas. But we anticipate having everybody who's a CVC member having service before the year is out. And I would like to think closer to somewhere fall to September, October timeframe if we're able to reach that quickly. So that's the CVC side. And Batty, we anticipate being able to sign contracts by the end of May or June, and that's an important step for us because at that point we could start asking for reimbursement, but that has not stopped us from starting work. We asked the folks at DHCD for permission to begin work in what they call soft cost areas, which are design, field data collection, make-ready work. So with that, we have submitted all of the poles in the Appalachian Power area that we will be on in Albemarle. We've submitted those to AEP or APCO for them to begin their make-ready engineering. And they may have started in the Red Hill portion of that. I will know more by Thursday, and I'll be glad to keep you up to date, Mike. But I know they were close to being ready to move into Albemarle the last time I talked to them. We have sent out letters ourselves to the folks in what will be the Red Hill service zone, which is the AEP electric territory around the CVC Red Hill point and everything kind of west of Route 29 that's AEP, as well as some areas east of 29 and down to the Nelson County line. Those folks have gotten the letters and we started data collection in that area, which is our first step to beginning our design. So we're moving forward with that work with the anticipation that as soon as APCO is able to get their make-ready work done and get out of our way, we'll be putting fiber up in that area. And we're trying to push APCO. If you ever have any contact with friends at APCO, encourage them to send more resources. So the electric co-op is much smaller than APCO, and we have consistently employed about 15 make-ready crews for 4 years to get our work done on time. APCO has seen fit to assign 3 make-ready crews. They had 1. We've got them up to 3. We need that number to get up to 12 to 15, and we keep begging for it and prodding. And the way this works, when they do their make-ready engineering, they give us a cost proposal to do the work. We have written a check every time they send us one of those. So they're sitting on a lot of our money. It's fully paid. They just need to turn loose of the resources. So we're working with them, and the folks we work with understand that urgency and the pace we need, but they're competing with other interests inside that big company, and they haven't been able to get the attention yet to have the amount of resources we think they need. So we're continuing to push them for that because we've given them some deadlines, and they're trying to do some things to bring more make-ready construction crews in. We've told them that we need to build at a 15 to 20 mile per week pace in Albemarle. And that's what we're doing in the co-op territories. They hopefully will catch up with us soon. So that's where we stand as far as the actual work. We're continuing to work on the final negotiations on those contracts and hope to have those signed sometime pretty soon. And with that, I'll be glad to take any questions or be quiet.
Any questions from the Broadband Authority?
Thanks for the update, Gary.
Mind if I ask a question?
Sure.
didn't want to interrupt. Gary, you talked about sending letters to folks in Red Hill area, et cetera, to collect data from them. What is it that you're looking to collect from them?
So our folks have to go in the field. The Appalachian Power mapping system is not accurate. So APCO told us early on, they don't know exactly where their poles are. So for us to do design, we have to go to each pole and get a GPS location. Then we need to identify where each house is. We already have a general GPS location, but we really need to know exactly where it is to help us overall as far as planning. So they're just going by and finding GPS locations for poles, the span links between them that allow us to design with the SAG and those types of things. So it's really a point-by-point data collection of where the electric system is.
Got it.
And
Thank you very much.
yeah, sometimes that puts us in fields, backyards. It's better to notify people we're coming than to meet them unexpectedly. All right.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wood. Appreciate you joining us this evening, and we'll keep rolling here. I think we might be on new business by this point. So
I don't think we're on new business yet, Mike. We've got the Body 2023 guidelines.
Yeah. Okay. Wishful thinking. No, it's fine. Yeah, I just wanted to roll through and make sure everyone understands this is a draft process, but there's a lot of work that has to go on still with TJPDC and the contracts. And before the final contract can be signed with DHCD, all these steps 1 through 13 have to, and there's a lot of detail behind each of these steps. The reason that I'm showing our or the Broadband Authority's contract with TJPDC first is because we're hopeful that our contract will be a model for the other 12 counties that are participating in the 22. So that's the reason why that one's up there is first. So it'll be a quick process, we hope, but we'll keep everyone informed on how we're going with that. So the guidelines, there's a lot of good information. There were 2 great input sessions that happened for the 23 guidelines. Jason and I have had a quick review meeting on this and hope to form a group for the Broadband Authority to further discuss our ideas. We're still building out those ideas on where we're going to go as far as a submittal for the 23 body program. So we have until July 7th to show our intent. So that's usually through a letter that we submit to DHCD online. And that will put us in motion to put an application in by August 25th. So there's a lot of new features in this. I don't see a lot of what is in the proposed guidelines changing that much. The only significant unknown is what's going to happen with the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and the money that is coming from the federal government, how that will be applied to Body 23. It could be 100 million. If that initial funding comes through as promised, that's the first tranche that comes from the federal government to the states as a well, you still have to qualify. But then after that, what happens is maps are looked at, and depending on where we sit, where Virginia sits within the maps, that defines what the next tranche and how much money will come down to the state. There's concerns that the timing of this changes the assets or the amount of money that will be available for Body 23. So hopefully things are going to work out to the benefit of the entire Commonwealth, and anything that we identify as a good project will certainly submit by August 25th. Anyone else have comments or questions about the 23 guidelines? Jason, I know you've done a lot of work on this, so go ahead, Chair. I overstepped you there.
That's okay. I have a question. What do we as the Broadband Authority need to do to get ready for this? I mean, clearly it's a notice to apply by July 7th. Do we, what are our next steps to be ready to make sure that that gets in timely.
Yes, sir. I'll answer that, and hopefully, Jason, if you have additional ideas, please let us know. We're working on a demographic map that defines what we feel are the most significant high priority areas that are currently not at 120. So our goal, and a lot of this will be around the urban ring. So just so we know that 22 in our partnership with Firefly is bringing us to a solution where the rural areas will have 200 at a minimum. I'm not sure that, Firefly has an opportunity to put a lower service rate in, but right now they're symmetrical 200, and then they go up to gig. So, they're already above the broadband set. So in a sense, our rural areas are getting higher speeds than some of our development areas as a result of both VADI 21, the current project, and VADI 22. So what we're looking at are those pocketed areas around the development areas that haven't had as much attention. Yes, they've had connectivity, but they haven't been built out to where they'll be at 120. So in a sense, what they're going to do is qualify. They will qualify for at least we think at this point, remember, we're still looking at draft guidelines for 23. So what we hope to do is show priority areas by income levels. And those priority areas by income levels will be the areas which we work with our current providers and come up with a way that we can partner to improve the speeds in those particular areas. So I will say that is something that we hope to share with the Broadband Authority as we move forward through the spring into the summer. Jason, you want to add to or subtract from that?
I'll add. So there's currently some space between the IIJA guidelines and the VADI 23 guidelines. Their expectation is to try to track. So as IIJA guidelines change, they might adjust the VADI 23 guidelines to follow. One of the things that is not currently present is an expectation to submit projects for underserved versus unserved areas, with underserved being defined as what we discussed previously, that distance between 100 over 100 and 100 over 20. So our plan as of the last meeting was to focus on underserved projects with guidance regarding affordability. And that's what Mike was discussing about trying to put together a map that targets. And we showed some of this during the last ABA meeting. We're still working on ways to sort of make that a functional tool for providing us specific areas that need addressing. We're close on some aspects of it. And for others, we might need to look at getting more information, in particular, kind of on the ground information about what the performance is. The other thing to consider is they have shifted some of the scoring to provide towards the Commonwealth Priorities. And that's the bullet point that you see there, where they want us to actually start to look at affordability with access to speeds at or above 100 over 20. And so the question then is for an incumbent provider who is providing service, what is the affordability of their 100 over 20 service? And how does that play into our considerations? Now, if we look at that incumbent provider and we look at their data plans at that level in certain areas, and there's another provider that should be able to provide more affordable service, then that might be a project that we can submit. But the other space to look at is reliability and actual performance speeds. And that's where we're still trying to determine what is the right approach for developing a plan to find out where are in the development area, where are places that speeds are not actually as reported at 100 over 20.
Thank you very much. We want to stay on top of this. Mike, you personally have an unbroken string of records of getting VADI monies, and I would hate for 2023 to come and go and not manage to do that just for you as a person. But also for the county, we've got a lot of folks who fall in this category, and this focus on the Commonwealth priority is a good opportunity to dovetail with the actions of the broadband, the BAAO, who has that as one of their focuses. So there's an opportunity here, and we want to make sure we seize it. Last question for me. I'm sensing from the nature of what the scoring is that there's less of incentive for us to link up with TJPDC and other counties and go for some regional effort, and more of an incentive for us to go back to working on individual projects in Albemarle. Is that a correct interpretation?
I agree with that assessment. I think it's more going to be because of the great work that DHCD did with the federal funding that came down last year before. Combining those, Virginia has done an excellent job getting out there and getting those big once-in-a-generation regional projects funded. So a lot of congratulations go that way to the DHCD staff. And I think a lot of this will be pocketed areas. We'll have to be very succinct and find out. I think Jason pointed out one thing that we'll have to do a good job at is defining and proving that speeds aren't exactly as advertised. So that's one of our goals, is to work through and verify those types of things in pocketed sections of the mostly development area. So
I was talking to a friend of mine today who lives in a highly developed area on the perimeter of the city, and he can't get speeds as good as I can get, and I don't meet the old 25.3 standard, let alone 120. So there's clearly a lot of need there.
And that's the shift that comes from now moving our attention, thanks to this redefinition of what broadband is, from just the rural area to now also needing to look at the rural area and the development area, as well as rural areas that are currently covered by an incumbent provider that is at or reporting to be at 100/20. So I think that there's a lot of learning that needs to be done, and we're going to try to do it very, very quickly to make sure that we can meet that notice to apply by July. Our initial goal is to have target areas to be looking at in May. So by the next meeting, we will have some specific areas that we want to be looking at. And then a lot of the work going into late spring, summer, early summer is then going into those areas, identifying the areas that have specific needs and trying to address those.
Are there any other questions on this topic? Mike, can we move on to the financial report then, or you have more to do? You're done? Good.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Trevor,
Chair.
take us away.
Thank you, Chair. Financial report is easy. It is the same as we saw in March, so no changes on the finances. And it's on the bottom part of the agenda that was posted.
I really admire your consistency, Trevor. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll do my best. Thank you, sir.
Back to Mike and Jason here then for the broadband accessibility and affordability report.
Yes, sir. I'll start with the CenturyLink Lumen service update. We continue to receive input on the January meeting we had with CenturyLink Lumen regarding the transfer of assets to Connect Holdings, Apollo, and then eventually a company that is named Brightspeed. The SCC has not provided an update on that yet. They're still looking through all of the materials that were submitted during the public hearings, and we'll make a determination soon on where things are going with that. One of the things that we need to bring out to the community is that we're fortunate in Albemarle County that CenturyLink Lumen has provided a transition plan. So we have an official transition plan that practically overrides whatever's happening with the SCC. So there's concerns about reports going into the SCC, which and the State Corporation Commission, which are held as confidential. And one of the reasons that the CenturyLink reports that are going into the State Corporation Commission are held confidential is because it's multi-jurisdictional. So CenturyLink does work in multiple areas of the county, and our understanding from the SCC is the reason that we're not able to see those is because of that particular need to keep other activities in other communities somewhat confidential. Now, that doesn't mean we can't work with CenturyLink Lumen to get our own updates, and we do have an update that has been provided about the work that was intended to help CenturyLink Lumen transition some of their older aging cable infrastructure, their copper infrastructure, correcting issues. And the first thing was to do an analysis of all of the copper cable throughout the county. That was completed in late February. And since that time, 2 or 4 of the cables have been addressed. So we are receiving updates that work is being done to correct the aging copper infrastructure here in Albemarle County. So any questions about that? That was a brief update. I don't think we had slides on that. Oh, yeah, we did. Excuse me. So yes, we did. So just to get into the details, a little bit of data. As I mentioned, the 51 cables that were identified through the analysis work in late February are able to receive rehabilitation. The work has just started on that. So we are being told that all of the work will be completed by July 31st. One of the things that I was hoping to ask CenturyLink is just give us a definition of what this additional work will do. Is it reliability? Does it give it more speed? So that's one of the things we'll want to update the Broadband Authority on the next time we get together, is a little bit more definition of what is the benefit that everyone receives out of this, what we're calling the cable rehab project. You know, that's replacing, repairing, putting new equipment in where new equipment is necessary, just giving us more reliability on the copper infrastructure.
We'd love to hear more about that. And I imagine there are a few supervisors who'd like to hear more about it too.
Certainly, yes. So we'll take that as a note to provide an official report to the Broadband Authority, and then the Broadband Authority could provide that to the Board of Supervisors. That's probably the right way to work through this.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Mike. Does that finish up the your report?
No, sir.
No? Oh, well.
I can stop here and take any additional.
No. Push on.
Okay. So we are still working diligently toward what we're calling our affordability programs. Normally, I do a really good job of defining the acronyms here on the slides. The IEPP is the Internet Essentials Partnership Program, which is a program that is specific to Comcast. You have to be a Comcast customer or within a Comcast service area to participate in the Internet Essentials Partnership Program, which is a low-cost program for low-income Pell Grants, just anyone who qualifies for any type of service, whether it's SNAP or free and reduced meals, those types of things. It's almost an automatic qualification. And what the Internet Essentials Partnership Program does is that it further reduces those costs, as well as makes it easier for people to sign up. So we're working through that with Comcast and hope to have more information on that soon. The ACP is the Affordable Connectivity Program, which is a federal-run low-cost broadband program, which is available to any internet service provider who qualifies for the Affordable Connectivity Program. The reason why we're calling it a bridge is because the ACP used to be the Emergency Broadband Benefit. And the difference is that the Emergency Broadband Benefit, which started out at a $50 per month benefit to those people who qualified, and was reduced at the end of January to $30 per month. Maryland went through the process and now is providing a $15 a month additional benefit to bridge that small change there. But we've decided that we're working it as $20. Now, we still haven't gotten through everything with this. I know it's taken a long while, and we've updated the Broadband Authority on this several times, and we provided an update to the Board of Supervisors, but we're continuing to work on it. We're hopeful that we're going to have a solution on this by our May meeting. So we hope to have an announcement on one or both of these projects by the May 25th Broadband Authority meeting. Next slide. So lots going on with the shifts from our rural focus to development area focus for 23. We talked about that during body 23. Let's see, I think my cohort here has come on as, he's not quite back. Okay.
Nope, I'm
Yeah.
back.
You're back? Okay. Thank you for rejoining there, Jason. Do you want to take this and talk it really quickly? It's your idea. We had a meeting today on this final bullet, which is, it's really exciting. Hopefully we're going to make some moves into this consideration of an open access conduit network. So Jason, over to you. Yeah.
So as we were discussing, there's a big difference between rural area deployments and development area deployments. And now our office has an opportunity to sort of consider what would be necessary to encourage and expand fiber deployment in the development area. Now that we at least have a plan for how we're going to do that in the rural area. And one of the ideas that we've long considered is the idea of, rather than providing our own municipal network, providing our own network of conduit on an open access structure where providers have the opportunity to request access to a duct, and then they can blow their own fiber and distribute their network at a considerable savings to a traditional deployment where 80% of the deployment could be just in boring and burial costs. And so we initially started putting together a stakeholder group that would look at opportunities to do this in the county on an opportunistic basis. So that means dig once. So when you have a new development, a greenfield development, before sod and driveways are placed, you would drop some of this conduit and it would be there and available. And similarly, whenever you had a sidewalk project, a road project, a trails project, potentially, you would have the opportunity to place some of this conduit in the right of way. There are a lot of factors that we need to work through. We've had some great meetings discussing it and exploring what the possibilities are. We're a long ways away from any sort of formal proposal, but with the success just in having conversations about what this project would look like, we've also looked at the possibility that this might entail something a little bit more structured, such as instead of just doing opportunistic projects, also considering a specific project where we would look at how to expand and build out a fiber network, a conduit network along some of our major hubs, along 29 North or 250, for instance. Now, there's not a whole lot of precedent for this kind of project. Most of the time that we've looked at this sort of thing, it has still been with a municipal ISP. But we're sort of working through moving from conceptualization to a proposal, and we will update as we continue this work.
Are you guys working with the development office on this?
Yes, we actually started moving from concepts to proposal when we were speaking with CDD specifically about the idea of having greenfield developments drop this kind of conduit, and they were so eager that they urged us to push on ahead of any comp plans and just see what the feasibility would be of moving forward with this idea well ahead of the comp plan.
Good for them. That's great.
I've got a couple of questions about this. I'll just say at the outset, like, this is great. Like this a lot. Have you explored whether it substantially increases the cost when adding large amounts, say, as you described, 29 or 250, in addition to putting down conduit, to putting in fiber at the same time? Is that like 1% more expensive, 100% more expensive? Is that something you've looked at all?
So it is an order. So you can't lay fiber and conduit at the same time. And in fact, when you have a project like this, you need to be done laying your conduit before you blow your fiber. So that certainly if somebody wants to blow fiber as soon as the conduit is ready, then we are happy to enable that.
Okay.
We
Great.
don't know that, we don't know all the answers. We're still looking at
Yep.
answers. I know Robert Rajonas is on the call with us, and we hope to work with him because he does have a significant amount of experience with this. So that'll be good. One of the things that we've thought about is every time there's a sidewalk project or some major thoroughfare project, we have the need to move utilities. And this may provide an opportunity for utilities that currently aren't in conduit. When those moves happen, they get moved into this new conduit that's provided as a county asset. So it's very exciting. We've got some good ideas here, and hopefully we'll get back with y'all as we work more through it.
I've got one other question about that.
Sure.
Is there a possible model here, or have you explored a possible model here in which I'm not sure how to put this in appropriate procurement terms, so I'll just lay it out crudely, in which you could go to an ISP and say, hey, we want to bury to all ISPs in the area, what the heck? We want to bury conduit in all of these places. If it's particularly important to anybody that we bury it in a particular place, you could agree with us now that you're going to pay us to use our conduit in that particular area, and that would provide funding in advance to facilitate the burying of that conduit and provide a ready customer. So I'm taking off my contracting officer representative hat here. I'm just a board member, because otherwise they'd be horrified with this proposal. Right. But is that plausible?
I think that so there are two things to consider. One is that we do have some funding available that can be leveraged in a pilot project. I think the second thing is we don't want to add complexity, because if we're building along a stretch that is concurrent with a transit project, we would hate to have there be a delay in the transit project, or I'm sorry, transportation project, because of complexities of our portion of the project. So we are going for fast and lean in process, but I think that if there's an opportunity to partner in a pilot project with an ISP in something like this, I think that's certainly something that we would entertain. And I think that we were going to work through, our goal is to work through all of the feasibility, all of the easements, rights of way, VDOT. And once we have a firm grasp that this is going to be manageable, then start to look at specific areas to consider as pilots, and look at other partners that we might consider, like schools or another ISP.
Okay, thank you. And as somebody who's usually dealing with board members, et cetera, and not on the board, I'll just say it is correct when a board member says, could we make this more complicated? To say, actually, we're trying to do this fast and lean. So I respect the response.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Other questions? We'll move on. Okay. Thanks for all the input on that. We're looking forward to future meetings and discussions on that. So I think we're on to new business share.
New business and recap. What do you guys have in mind here? We're going to go through the slides there, or I think we've all had a chance to look at them.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to be quick. These are also draft guidelines. The biggest impact that we're looking at is the challenge that hasn't been addressed. We've made some research done on the Vermont has a similar program. Not saying that the state of Virginia is copying that program, but we're working on some guideline questions that involve when a renter is the qualifying individual from a income perspective. We feel that renter should be able to participate and be eligible. We shouldn't look at the income of the parcel owner. Instead, we should be looking at renters, and hopefully we've got a good idea that the DHCD folks will put into the guidelines. So just a summary of the line extension affordability program. Only ISPs or individual homeowners, parcel owners. Hopefully we're going to extend that to renters as well. can apply for this. So it's not something that the Broadband Authority would submit as a request for funding. It would be with an ISP or with an individual property or renter, hopefully renter. So that was real quick. I'll keep it short and sweet. You guys have seen what we've put in the LECAP. Jason did a really good job writing up this program, so I appreciate all of his work.
It looked like a great program.
Yes, it should be.
If
$8
you
million.
wanna-
$8 million. It's got some funding behind it.
Mike, if you want to advance to the slide on the applicant guidelines with the eligibility
Okay,
thresholds,
right.
one thing that's going to be helpful for our office in terms of trying to identify areas and identify people that should sign up, they will be publishing a map. So I believe that the AMI is going to be broken down by zip code. So they're going to give us a map that's going to tell us if you are in this zip code, your 120% AMI is X or Y, and then we can kind of, it's hard to advertise that sort of thing. Like, hey, is your income X when you live in 22911? But it would at least give us a little bit of help when we make contact with households to say, like, okay, like, what is your household income? Where do you live? And help people, guide people to the right program. So we appreciate DHCD's sort of simplified approach, and we really hope that this is going to be a successful program, particularly as it relates to Body 2020, which is the last program where line extensions were a significant barrier to signing up. And we're hopeful that a lot of households that weren't able to sign up during Body 2020 will hopefully be able to sign up using this program.
I think this is going to be particularly useful to Albemarle because we're a little bit higher income than some of the other rural, long throw counties. So that's good.
Okay. Yeah. No changes that we sent out. This is just the last slide on this. The surprises. The wireless inclusion would provide support for people who could get a high speed fixed wireless connection with some additional equipment put on their house or potentially a tree line based pole. So that's what that's all about so far. So there you go. Thank you, Chair. Busy meeting.
Thanks, Mike. Could you put us back in the mode where we don't have to look at this slide?
Oh,
We
yeah.
can see each other. That'd be nice.
Yes, sir.
Folks, I was wondering if there was any other business that we needed to take up. Yes, Trevor.
Chair Price, really, it's an old business item, but just update. Staff will be going to the Board of Supervisors at their second meeting in May, the 18th, to talk about the next tier of returning to in-person meetings, of which I briefed the authority on last month. As of now, we will be recommending June, and we'll continue to work that. We'll brief the board with that recommendation. I'll be able to update this body at our next meeting in May on what June looks like.
Thank you very much. And just another note on that topic, our next meeting is back to Wednesday. It's going to be 5:25, which is a Wednesday evening, lest someone be so excited about Tuesday they show up a day early. Richie, yes.
And so if I could follow up on Trevor's comment, the General Assembly has changed the law in regards to all virtual meetings. They've also made some amendments in regards to electronic participation, but I do want to applaud this body because we have already adopted rules and regulations regarding electronic participation by the members. And I think it's consistent with the amendment, so we don't have to really look at that. I want to plant a seed because as of September 1, there will be permitted all virtual meetings. How workable it is, I certainly have my doubts, but the ABA will be able to meet at least 3 times over the course of a year, all virtually. You can't do it consecutively, so I don't know how you can pick all virtual meetings unless we have a meeting on Christmas or Thanksgiving, and we just want to go ahead and advance. I didn't think so. I did suggest to the EDA that it might be that we could adopt a rule that allows us to go virtual on special meetings or emergency meetings. I would ask you to just consider if there's any other type of special circumstances you think would be appropriate. This fits into our annual agenda in the sense that in August, we do readopt the rules and regulations. So come July or certainly by August, if we can firm up whether this body wants to consider all virtual meetings in some fashion, then we could be prepared in August to adopt those rules.
That's a great comment, Richie. 2 points on that. One, when we're in the short strokes on trying to get a proposal out the door for body or something like that, it could be very handy to have a special meeting that was virtual. On the other hand, it has really troubled me for the last 2.5 years that this group that's associated with bringing broadband to people required you to have a good internet connection to participate in the group, and the firehouse is burning down after the firemen leave kind of thing. The irony is overwhelming. So it just troubles me that we have that we've had to have virtual meetings for all this length of time, and I certainly understand the rationale, but from the general public standpoint, particularly those who have no internet at home, I look forward to giving them some alternative to participating with us.
I will be very interested to see what participation is like for in-person meetings. I assume it will go back down to the 0 to 1 people that we had before, as opposed to we had 14 at the largest number today.
But we did have a whole bunch of folks show up a few times for in-person meetings back in the day.
But now it's normal.
Yeah. Any other issues or topics we should bring up? Not seeing any more hands up. Richie, I assume your hand is actually down now. And well, then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
There we go.
Second.
It's been seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then thank you all very much. We stand adjourned.
Bye, folks.
Thank you.